a new Tom MacDonald interview came out, and I don't think I've ever watched one. At least not while it's been recent. But this was with respectfully Xavier. No disrespect, I not familiar with it, but yeah, let's see what's going on. All right, had to put on the Hangover Gang bandana. Let's do it. I wonder if there's gonna be any announcements. All right, let's go.
The music industry is as close to criminal as you can possibly get without going to prison.
Your rapper that you're listening to is talking about having Percocets in Abu Dhabi, but you're in a library in Chicago. It's like, be so for
And that's
real.
a much better place to be.
It is. So how do you feel about the cultural appropriation allegations?
I mean, fuck you.
And real quick, I'm gonna put out I'm gonna do a live soon to do like top 10 of my favorite Tom MacDonald songs soon. And I've already admitted Hell of It is up there for me. Because that was the first time I've heard someone go after these rappers that promote all these illicit things, and most of them don't even do it. And not saying that, oh, they did these things, oh, that they're off the chopping block. No, but the fact that they promote these things, they talk about it, they glorify it, and they don't even participate in it. It's like, and y'all be calling these other people industry plants. But, all right, I'm not going to name names, but you know what I'm talking about. All right.
Hey everyone, I'm Xavier DeRusso from PragerU, and I'm here with recording artist,
PragerU.
singer, and rapper Tom MacDonald. How you doing?
You know, I have seen him before. Yes. Okay, never mind. My bad. PragerU, that reminded me. Got it.
Good, man. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Good.
Thank you for stopping by today. You're here to film a Stories of Us episode. How's that
Absolutely.
going?
It was a blast. There was some good stories. There's a little bit of tears in there. It was a big one. Big one. It's pretty hard to go through my life story without shedding a tear, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, today we won't be, too heavy. It's going to be lighthearted because you already told the full story. I can't wait to see that Stories of Us episode. I am hoping I can get a little sneak peek, though. Did you talk about your wrestling career?
I think we did talk about wrestling a little bit.
You did.
I mean, it's pretty hard to go from birth to present day with wrestling was such a huge part of my life. So there's definitely some like spandex stories and stuff in there for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
What made you walk away from that?
Man, the pro wrestling business is even more political than the political game. It's a difficult business. So bad politics combined with accumulated injuries, it was just time for me to go somewhere and do something else where I didn't have to get hit with steel chairs and put through tables and stuff,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's like a little known fact about me. I'm actually a huge diehard WWE fan.
No
I
kidding.
watch twice a week. So we're basically cousins. We're just alike. We're blonde. We're anti-woke.
We're black?
We're black. Yeah. Yes, we are very black. I'm actually part Chinese too.
Oh, sick.
Yes,
Sick.
learned that. Best thing to happen to me. But it is also full circle that I get to sit down with you now, because about 5 years ago, I was a whole hater because I was woke and I was so triggered by your song, People So Stupid.
It's because that song was about you at that point in time.
It was Xavier So Stupid.
Yeah.
It applied. Every single bar applied to me.
Good. I'm glad. I really enjoy when my music reaches the people who need it most when they need it most. It also makes me really happy to hear that it's pissed somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, my mission objective is to uplift and empower. But as sort of like a happy little byproduct, if I can trigger a bunch of morons along the way, that's a bonus.
Yeah. I always say the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
Absolutely.
So you need to hear it. And I needed to at the time. And I'm not going to lie, the part that, and I think differently nowadays, but I remember watching it and I was like, how dare this white man sit here and appropriate my culture as if I've ever written a rap and then diss me on it.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the cultural appropriation allegations?
I mean, you. Like, people always say, like, hip hop, it's our house and you're a guest in our house. And like, I never asked anybody to enter anybody's house. I built my own house across the street, and I'm going to stand in the front yard and yell out the windows all I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
I love it. I was about to tell you, you can be blunt. And then I thought about it. I'm like, he doesn't need me to tell him. You know, I mean, that's so true. I often wonder why people try to gatekeep out of race. But then at the same time, it's like, let's say that no white people ever wanted to participate in listening to rap or making rap music or anything like that. Then people would be like, oh, well, you think you're too good to be a part of our culture. So then it's like, you really can't win.
No, I kind of disagree because I get it. The idea that you have something all to yourself. Not saying it's right, but like I get it. It's like when you have, let's say the first time you heard Tom McDonald and no one else you knew of who he was, and you were just like excited that yeah, he was your guy. You were the only one in your friend group that knew of him. It's kind of it's a similar thing. It's just like having that thing that it's all to yourself. You know what I mean? It's kind of a toxic attitude, but we're all guilty of it.
But I am wondering too, it's like when you are hearing all the stereotypes where they try to categorize all of you as Eminem, what do you think of that?
honestly, it doesn't really bother me. I'll take that as a compliment. In my opinion, I don't think him and I see eye to eye politically. I don't think we'd ever going to be best friends or anything like that. But
Nope, you are 100% right, Tom. M somehow turned into. Never mind, I can't say it.
all that aside, he's one of the greatest rappers, white or black or yellow or brown or whatever, to ever exist. So I mean, there's worse things to be compared to. People compare me to Macklemore sometimes, and I'm not too fond of that.
I would.
So I mean, I'll take the Eminem thing. I mean, it's just, Eminem's a white rapper. I'm a white rapper. If that's the line you want to draw, if surface level is as deep as you're gonna get, I mean, by all means.
Fair enough. Do you feel like there is systemic racism behind the scenes as a white rapper in the hip hop world?
I'm probably not the best person to ask about that because I make my own beats. I release my own music independently, from the song concepts to the beat production to the recording to the mixing and mastering to designing the t-shirts to distribution of the music to marketing, music videos. Like, it's all me and my girlfriend. So unless I wake up tomorrow and my girlfriend's a racist and doesn't like me, I'm never going to have to deal with that because I built my own ecosystem outside of the music industry. So there's gatekeeping everywhere, and we talked about it in the Stories of Us at length and in depth. But being independent is such a blessing because I get to avoid a lot of this stuff that maybe mainstream white rappers, Macklemores and guys like that, I get to avoid a lot of the stuff that I'm sure that they've gone through.
With the gatekeeping, does it get draining at a certain point where I feel like a lot of artists who speak out against the grain, or they're willing to not play all the industry, like play by the industry rules, I should say, they end up getting blackballed from the Grammys. They don't get invited to certain places. And they always say like, oh, I don't care. I don't need them anyway. But I feel like as an artist, more often than not, you don't believe that when you say that. You actually do wish that you could be getting the recognition that your work and the quality of your work deserves. How do you find that balance?
Really comes down to like how you define sort of like success and like what your goals are in this thing, because we talked about this in Stories of Us as well, but there's artists out there, and I'm friends with some of them, who like their gauge, their measuring stick is like, I want to go to the parties and I want to walk the red carpet and I want to get the award and I want to shake hands with these guys and be on the radio and do this and do that. And like, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, if that's what your goal is, then who am I to tear that down? That's not what it is for me. For me, like, I want to make sure my girlfriend's taken care of. I want to make sure my family's taken care of. I want to make sure my mom, my dad, my sister, my dogs, my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, I want to make sure that everybody's taken care of and we're all good. And I've done that. I've turned down more deals than I can even remember at this point. I've gone head to head with the biggest that the industry has to offer, and I've beat them. Taylor Swift, Eminem, Drake, whatever. I've beat them all on the Billboard charts. Just because my name's not up on the billboard on Sunset and my music video is not playing in Times Square doesn't mean anything.
Right.
That's one thing I was gonna say real quick. But I think a lot of these artists think that way because they think that is gonna get them to the type of success that Tom has. And that's the only route there's ever been within music. And one thing I did want to say is that I think a lot of, and I know we can't, it's hard to take people's biases out of it, but let's say you took Tom's name off of his accolades, you didn't know the songs, but you saw everything he's accomplished, being independent, like everything's independent, he runs it all. There's no way you could be like, he just got it because he's white. Or like, it would be very hard to disrespect that.
When it comes down to it, that's all marketing. And at the end of the day, the numbers aren't going to lie. And I've beat them tons of times.
Yeah.
So like, to me, it's like, these are people that my best friends I've had in my life for 10, 15 years. I don't know these people. These are strangers to me. I don't need their validation. I don't need an award. I don't need a handshake. I don't need a photo with you at a party. I literally don't care. I'm good now. 7 years ago, I lived in Crenshaw. I was plugging my fridge into my neighbor's house when they cut our power off because we couldn't pay the power bill. I come from having nothing. I just don't ever want to go back to having nothing. But what I've got now, I'm cool with. I literally, actually, I swear to you, on God, I do not give a shit. I'm good.
I believe you 100%.
There may be a lot of rappers and artists out there who say, "Oh, I don't need I don't need the award and I don't need this," and secretly they're writing notes of affirmation and sticking them to their mirror. You're going to get a Grammy one day. That's not me. Mm-hmm. It's never going to be me. I could quit tomorrow and I'm good.
I can attest that I know for a fact that you've been beating out some of these top artists on the charts, because I will never forget when Facts came out with you and Ben Shapiro and you were competing with Meg Thee Stallion. And honestly, I think that's a perfect example of an artist that is truly marketing, because if you really break down the numbers, a lot of artists like Meg Thee Stallion or Cardi B or even Travis Scott, I've seen their numbers can very much be traced to streaming farms and just excessive PR campaigns and just a lot of corruption that between Billboard and the radio industry and all these different elements of the industry, they're making it seem like everybody cares about these artists. But then the artists that are actually popular, who are independent, who don't have those huge systems behind them, it's like they're the ones that are actually building a core audience and making real progress and success and quality music. So I do want to ask you, like, are you familiar with the Spotify streaming machines and how these artists are manipulating the charts?
Oh yeah. Like, we spoke about this in depth on Stories of Us, but these streaming platforms have relationships with the record labels. It's really easy to have 800 million monthly listeners when Universal has an agreement with Spotify that every time artist A, B, or C drops a single, it's going to go on the 400 biggest playlists on earth, and we're just going to blow up that song. And like, the stream farming thing is like a big claim, and I feel like it's a big enough claim that like you have to be able to prove that if you're going to say these guys are faking their streams. Mm-hmm. But even beyond outright faking the streams, when the record label that you're signed to has a relationship with Apple Music, has a relationship with Spotify, has a relationship with Tidal, and these companies are putting you on the biggest playlist that they have to offer, do you really have fans at that point? Or are these people just passively listening to your stuff through a playlist that they've subscribed to on their Spotify? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if all of those artists were forced to, and there's exceptions, obviously. People like Kanye West, diehard fan base. Mm-hmm. If he activates his supporters to do something, they're going to do it. Tyler, the Creator. If he activates his people, they're going to do it. But a lot of these guys, these huge, renowned, world famous artists, if the criteria to go on the Billboard charts, if we took streaming out of the equation and we took radio out of the equation, because every time your record spins on the radio, that carries a lot of weight on the Billboard charts. Mm-hmm. It's weighted heavier than streams, and it's weighted heavier than downloads. Mm-hmm. If you wipe out radio play and you wipe out streams, and now that artist is forced to have their fans physically purchase their music on iTunes, not passively stream it from a playlist, you have to go to iTunes and you have to spend 99 cents and you have to download the song to your phone. If you put those world famous artists in that arena with people like me and others like me, that will show you the true size of their fan base. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be able to compete.
Right.
I do wonder though, like, so that everything he said is true, but I wonder why they don't also promote him as well, because yeah, you can get them, you spin these other labels artists more, but you also have this one artist that millions and millions of fans, unless they're, and there could be, actually I'm sure there is, just these record labels that are like, I don't know, maybe one has a vendetta against Tom, or they're just paying to, which would seem really petty, but I don't put it past it. It's curious industry.
Because we have real fans that have an appetite for something that the mainstream music industry is not providing. They don't want this over-manufactured, overproduced, made-up, fake bullshit. They want something real and authentic and genuine. They don't have real fans. They have passive listeners. Mm-hmm. So if you put us both on a level playing field, and the record labels back up and they're not interfering, and it's just straight up, it's you and me, and it's whoever's going to get the most people to actually physically download their song. Not listen to it on a playlist, not hear it on the radio driving to work, download the song. Mm-hmm. They're going to lose.
I'm like a Billboard trivia nerd, so like I pay attention every week to when the charts come out, and it frustrates me because Billboard just keeps increasing the amount of weight that radio has on the position on the charts. So there are songs that nobody, and I mean nobody is even streaming, nobody is listening to, nobody is paying attention to, and it's been in the top 10 for 30 weeks. And then you look at why, it's like all their numbers are so minuscule, except the radio, the weight of the radio and the payola that we know is going on behind the scenes. So it's interesting to be able to talk to someone that's in the industry, but also independent, to be able to see it from the outside, because I feel like a 360 deal is basically selling your soul at this point.
Man, I know people that are on 360 deals, mm-hmm. and I know what I'm making, and I've asked them what they're making, and the music industry is as close to criminal as you can possibly get without going to prison. Mm-hmm. Like it's unfortunate because, we're all artists and we all have these dreams of the whole world hearing our songs and stuff. And when you're in a position of power in the music industry, at a record label or whatever, it's very, very, very easy to take advantage of and exploit a dreamer. Mm-hmm. So, that's why that's happening, man.
So people talk a lot about TikTok's impact on political issues, but how do you feel about TikTok's impact on the rap industry? Because a lot of people criticize that TikTok has made it to where people don't care about quality music anymore. People don't even make albums anymore. They just want a quick, catchy hit that is going to have 15 seconds for someone to dance to. And a lot of people have said that that's part of why the quality of music has dropped a lot in the last few years.
Never really thought about it, honestly. But I mean, TikTok is definitely having an impact. There's a TikTok chart on Billboard now, which is relatively new. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like charts that can be impacted by things like TikTok, I feel like it primarily benefits mainstream and independent artists that have a message that runs parallel with the mainstream narrative. Because for an artist like myself, like TikTok's practically useless. Every time I have 1 million followers on TikTok, and every time I post a video, it gets 4,000 views. Mm-hmm. And it's because of what's being said in my music and the message that I'm talking about, and et cetera, et cetera. I've been banned.
I'm going to double check that, and I might add it here, I might not. But I did not know TikTok has a chart on billboards. That seems idiotic, because it's going to tailor to mainstream and shock value artists. It's just obvious. Okay.
And on TikTok like a dozen times, and my account just continually just like reappears like all of a sudden. And I've never like put too much stake in it or thought about it too hard, or it's already hard enough like making a song with a message that a lot of my songs have, and then getting that video to even serve on YouTube, that like, and like the ridiculous community standards on YouTube, like if you have like a red cup in a video and you're at a party scene, YouTube's like, oh, there's you're inferring that you're consuming alcohol, and like and so you can't do that, and you can't have a firearm in the video, and you can't do this, and you can't do blood, and you can't. So it's like I'm already like suppressing my own visual art to allow it to exist on this platform so I can reach people, and like that's already too much for me. That's already exhausting. So I can't even put any thought or energy into like, oh, what's a 30-second thing that I can do in this song that's going to make a bunch of 13-year-olds that, you know, identify as pufferfish on TikTok dance to it. Like I can't.
I really do appreciate that you have found truly the art.
Identify as pufferfish. Oh, trolling Tom is my favorite Thomas.
Form of putting messaging into your songs without it sounding gimmicky. Because I feel like certain people that, and I'm not going to throw shade at anybody, but some people try to put either political messaging or just like anti-woke messaging into their songs, and it sounds so cringe.
Yeah.
Like, how is it that, is it just talent? It's like, is that just what it boils down to? Talent being able to do it in a way that's so smooth? Because people will be sitting there dancing to your song, not even realizing that you're just destabilizing the government along the way.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't know, man. I think that like, I'm really self-aware. Like I make cringy stuff all the time, and I'm like self-aware enough to be like, ugh, I gotta like, I can't say that way, or like I have to change how that's coming off, because yeah, it doesn't sit right with me. So like, I don't know, man. Like I was a musician who, you know, I had this like real pivotal moment in my life where I had this like huge mental breakdown, and I got sober and and that sort of birthed the type of music that I'm making now. Because prior to what I'm doing now, I was making the same music that everybody else was making. You know, cars, guns, clothes, girls, money, houses, like whatever. So like that music was devoid of any valuable message at all. But in the absence of having a message, it had to sound good. Like I had to learn how to make music that sounded good. So I think that's probably why it might come off a little different, because before I was doing what I'm doing now, I was making a completely different style of hip hop that was like pleasing to the ear, and you could like nod your head to or dance to or whatever. And then when emulating what was going on in those songs, emulating it in my real life, and drinking and partying and valuing the wrong things, et cetera, when that like almost like killed me and destroyed me, I had to figure out like, okay, I no longer want to make music that's going to do to other people what living this music has done to me. So what do I do? So I talk about the things that I speak about with my friends and my family, and I talk about stuff that's going to empower people instead of tear people down, and make music that's giving people information instead of reinforcing poor moral standard. And like with the sort of birth of the new message driven music I make, it's still got to be palatable and digestible and whatever. And I think I gained that skill set when I was making the prior music. So it's just like both of those things smashed together, just kind of find a happy, you know, symbiotic relationship there.
I love.
Real quick, because I've seen this, and I don't know whether this is going to come out before I put it out, but I did finally listen to the Mac Lethal diss. And there was an angle about Tom. He's not the first one to do political rap. And to a degree, he's right. He's not the first one to mention political things within rap. But to tailor songs and themes around politics and a political message, he's very much one of the pioneers. Because everyone he named in that song, yes, they addressed politics at some point, but not to the extent that Tom did. So, side note, I didn't really value that that angle as much.
That you say that about wanting to change the messaging that you're putting out to your audience, because I look at a rapper like Future and it makes me so mad how he's constantly talking about drugs he's never done and guns he's never held, and then he gets his followers and his audience, and not even just Future, but it's pretty much an industry standard at this point to popularize lifestyles that you are not living. You have these rappers out here talking about doing insane amounts of drugs and talking about ways of literally basically killing themselves. And yet they're going home living these conservative lifestyles. They're going home to their wife and kids, and they're not participating in any of this stuff that they're talking about.
Sure.
Do you think that that is a toxic industry standard that needs to shift, or do you think that that's something that's going to keep being pushed out?
Surprise. That is who I was talking about earlier. Okay.
These guys know their demographic. Like, the biggest rappers in the world, they're not dumb. You don't get to be in a position like that if you're an idiot.
Some of them do. Cardi B's not that smart.
She knows what's going on, though. You talk to some people and they say Cardi's a fierce businesswoman.
Really?
Yeah. I talked to somebody 2 days ago that said that. Bought a car from this guy. Anyway, that's another story. They may be dumb, but they know who they're making music for. They recognize what the demographic is. And like 5 years ago, the demographic of hip hop was like 14 to 21-year-old white American youth. So as long as there is that demographic of people who think that what they're talking about is cool, they're going to continue making the music. It's just like it's a moneymaker. I think what's like most important is like where I went wrong was because I was young and impressionable, and I heard these people talking about the guns and cars and drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. I just assumed because I was young and stupid that this was all legitimate and this was real and they're living their life that way, and I like these people, so I'm going to live my life that way, and it almost ended my life. So I think like I don't know if the answer is like there has to be some sort of culture shift or paradigm shift in the culture, and we have to stop making this type of music. I think like the most important thing is for the parents of the kids that are listening to this music need to like smarten up their kids to the fact that like, hey, what you're listening to, you understand that's not real life, right? Like these guys are talking about this stuff, but they're not living that way. That's what my dad did for me. When I first got like my first Eminem CD and I'm playing that at 20 volume, like my dad pulled me aside and said like, hey, this is a very talented guy and he makes really cool music and I understand why you like it, but you understand the stuff that he's saying about hitting women and doing drugs and drinking. You understand that's not cool, right? And like he made me, stopped me to make me think like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. So I think that like, that's the most important thing is to the kids that are listening to this stuff need to have an understanding that it's like if you walk into a movie theater and you see some guy get his head cut off, that guy's going home to his family with a big paycheck, and that's what he does on screen, on film. That's not how he's living his life. The Breaking Bad dude, not a meth dealer, actor. So I think that's just like a really important thing to like teach these kids. Like
That's a very good analogy to look at it. But it's weird that we don't look at music that way. But we should. They're both entertainment. And I wonder why. But yeah, we don't. We separate them instead of just realizing they're both entertainment. I never quite thought of it that way, but 100% true.
Hey, this is who this guy is in his songs, and that's what he does in his music videos. That's not his real life. And if you act like him in his music videos and him in his music, your real life is going to end up in a real bad way.
Yeah.
That's the best way, like, is to be preventative, because I don't think it's going to change. So as long as parents take some responsibility, or whatever, if your buddy's like drinking cough syrup on a Friday night because he thinks it's cool, like pull your buddy over and be like, bro, stupid move.
Yeah.
Like, you know why people started drinking cough syrup? Not because they're big, rich, famous rappers, because they had no money and they were living in a poverty zone and they couldn't afford liquor and they started abusing stuff. I think it's just like important to just like smarten kids up and give them the information. And if that isn't enough, then I mean...
Yeah, it's like you have to stop being so impressionable at a certain point. It's like, yes, I get it. Your rapper that you're listening to is talking about having Percocets in Abu Dhabi, but you're in a library in Chicago. It's like, be so for
And that's
real.
a much better place to be.
It is. And it's like, and I'm not a prude when it comes to music. Like, I listen to all my little ratchet degenerate music too. I love my degenerate music, but that doesn't mean I'm out being a degenerate. To me, it's just alarming how there's such a push for it, because I do hear certain rappers talk about how they want to shift their subject matter, but it's like the label executives don't really give them that leeway. And I feel like right now, especially in Diddy's America, everybody's looking at who is like, where is this power structure coming from? Why is the industry so determined to not only destroy their audience, but their artists and their audiences are both getting harmed by all of this?
I think the best way to be immune to the poisonous effects or the influential effects from the music is having the knowledge and just understanding what you're listening to. I think you can keep yourself pretty safe. I feel like, and I said this next door too, and a lot of people say, oh, you're a conspiracy guy or like whatever, but I feel like the music industry, the mainstream media, the government, and whoever's behind that all work in like tandem. I think they all have a message and an agenda, and the kids that the music reaches, like they don't watch like the news. They're not going to listen to like some guy on TV in a suit with white hair, 60 years old. Kid doesn't give a shit about that. They listen to Future. They listen to Cardi B. This is just my personal feelings, but I feel like they promote valuing really expensive high-end brand name clothes is because they want people broke. And I think that they talk so much about alcohol and drugs is because they want people docile and dumb. And overall, they want people weak and f***ed up. And it's a lot easier to control a bunch of people that rely on you, that rely on the system, or that are drunk or addicted or broke or valuing the wrong things. It's a lot easier to manage a population in peril than it is to uplift and empower everyone. And then you got all these free thinkers standing around that aren't on drugs, that are eating good food, that are healthy, that are, that have the wherewithal to think for themselves. That's a difficult group of people to keep control of. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think all of the biggest industries are sort of this conglomerate, and they control different people in different ways. Mm-hmm. And the music industry is part of that. And the CEOs and the record labels are part of that. And they have the music that they want to push, and they want to influence people in a negative way. And that's what it is.
That was cool. I'll have to check out that other one. What was it? Stories of Us, Tom MacDonald. I'll look for that. And yeah, maybe we'll watch that one too. But all right, shout out to Xavier and Tom MacDonald. That was a cool little video. I finally got to see a Tom interview basically when it just came out, and PragerU. All right, that's cool. I liked it. I liked how I didn't know the feeling about Future was as prevalent as I thought it was. But I'm so happy to see that through a lot of people. So that's awesome. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, share it. Put the link down below to everyone. And everybody have a great week. Just have a great week. Stay safe, and I'll see y'all next time.